This is a review of the Keychron Q5 Pro mechanical keyboard, and I have waited years for something like this to finally exist. What we have here is a wireless, full metal, enthusiast grade 96% keyboard with hot swap and RGB that's ready to go out of the box so beginners can enjoy a pro experience without any modding. If you don't know what any of that stuff means, that's okay. Long story short, it means it's a keyboard made of premium materials that lets me further tune the sound and appearance should I want to do that. Spoiler alert, I did end up doing that. One of the first videos I ever made on this channel, it might have been the second or third video ever, was a review of this keyboard right here. It's the K4 version 2, also from Keychron, and it's been going strong for 2 years. I love this keyboard, but a lot of the issues I had in my initial review, they still stand. So when Keychron finally announced like a successor to this keyboard with all these premium materials, I immediately ordered it for review because I had to test it out and see if it addressed a lot of my initial complaints. Let's talk about what you get in the box. Later on in the video, we'll talk more about how you can upgrade it to make it something more your style. So first things first, in the box, you're getting a completely built and ready to go keyboard. It's got everything you need to just plug and play. If you like the look already and you like the way it sounds, you don't need to do anything else. It's really good right out of the box. Keychron also offers like a bare bones kit version that's about $20 cheaper, but you have to bring your own switches and keycaps. We'll talk more about that later on in the video. It pairs wirelessly via Bluetooth 5.1, but you're also getting a USB-C to C cable and this little adapter for USB-C to A in the box if you want a more stable connection. You can also pair it with up to 3 devices and easily swap between them using the FN and then the 1, 2, or 3 keys. Other than that, the last box items are a keycap puller, a key switch puller, and a more in-depth user guide. Now on to the main event, the keyboard itself. Like obviously I knew it was going to be heavy thanks to its full metal design, but I don't think I was prepared for how heavy it was going to be. It's 2170 grams, which is just under 5 pounds. This is a beefy and well-constructed piece of aluminum machinery, and it's honestly kind of impressive. It only costs $210 for what's on offer here. So it comes in 3 colors, carbon black, silver gray, and shell white, which is what I have. I like that the keyboard body actually stands out more with thick edges and room between the key sections so you can appreciate that color more. As I mentioned earlier, the entire construction is metal as opposed to the K4 V2, which only had this aluminum frame, but was primarily made out of plastic. So under the hood, it's no slouch either. Now, if you're not an enthusiast, a lot of these specs and terms might go over your head, but in short, it's made well. So it's got a double gasket mount design, polycarbonate plate, pre-lube stabilizers, and 2 layers of keyboard foam that ensure the general sound profile of the thing is going to be excellent right out of the gate. The included switch options are Keychron's own brand of switches. It's the K Pro Red, K Pro Brown, and what I have here, which is the K Pro Banana. I also have to emphasize the typing feel here. It's hard to explain without having it in your hand, obviously, but it's just super comfortable and stable to type on each key, and that weight means it's not going anywhere. So if I'm typing like really aggressively, the keyboard flex makes it so I don't hurt my fingers, but at the same time, it incentivizes me to type more relaxed too. It's weird, but I kind of dig it. So coming around to the sides of the board, you're gonna notice this non-adjustable 5.2 degree typing angle. For me, I had no issues with fatigue, but it is a bit of a bummer that this is non-adjustable since the K4 had kickstand feet. The overall size of the board is 96%, meaning it's got arrow keys, a function row, and numpad. It has pretty much all the keys, but it's still going to be smaller than a full-size keyboard, which is great because I can still keep my mouse within reach, and that's great, especially for when I'm gaming. That being said, Keychron does make the Q and Q Pro series of keyboards in almost every size from 60% to 100%, so there's going to be something out there for you in case this isn't the size that you want. Moving on to the upper right of the board, it houses this little programmable knob, which lets me change the volume, and the dial is so satisfying to use. More on that in a little bit. On the back, you're going to find the USB-C port, as well as toggles for Bluetooth and wired mode, and Mac or PC mode. Lastly, the included keycaps are this KSA profile, essentially this chunky, rounded looking caps that I have to say, I'm really not a fan of. I think it takes away from an otherwise very classy looking keyboard, and their higher profile does lend to some fatigue for longer typing sessions. Real quick, I did want to add that although this review is for the Q Pro series, Keychron does offer a slightly cheaper non-wireless version of the keyboard, which is just the Q series. The only other difference is that the Q series is going to use an aluminum plate underneath the hood, which is going to affect the sound and feel just a little bit. So I've had issues with the wireless reliability of other Keychron boards in the past, but I'm happy to report I have not run into those issues here. RGB is the other big feature of the keyboard, and it's super front and center here. I think its implementation here is much better than on previous efforts though. It's much brighter and it uses individual keys for advanced animations, such as showing the battery level indicator across just a row instead of lighting the entire keyboard up at once. Also worth mentioning, I've had zero concerns with battery life on this thing. It's lasted over a week with moderate to heavy use. Also, the entire board is programmable using the VIA web software. You can set up custom macros and remap keys using this interface. It's a bit confusing at first, but I got the hang of it in like 15 minutes. All the documentations and instructions are on the Keychron website. There's also lots of resources on YouTube. For my use, I honestly didn't feel the need to remap very many buttons. I might explore it again in the future. The only one I did change was changing the volume knob from mute when you press down on it to do play pause.
Listen.
So clearly this thing is loaded with features and it's got a premium design that's typically only found in like the high-end enthusiast world, which can sometimes run you up to $400 or more at like the bottom level. So for only $210, this honestly feels like a steal. And if you're the type of person who doesn't want to build anything from scratch, even better. That said, $210 is still a pretty hefty sum, so let's do a little lightning round comparison to its budget little sibling, the K4 V2 that I've talked about earlier, and see if those extra features are worth it to you. Out of the gate, the K4 is just more compact. It's a trade-off for sure. Well, I would prefer a more compact size. At the same time, I also like seeing more of the white color. I love that the arrow keys are separated on the Q5 Pro, which makes them easier to find faster. The Q5 Pro also has a full aluminum exterior build, where the K4 V2 only has an aluminum frame, but a plastic body, so it's lighter and less durable. The built-in foam means way less hollow pinging on the Q5 Pro, as opposed to the noises and the hollowness coming from the K4 V2. One unexpected win for the K4 is that adjustable typing angle though. I would have liked to see that here too. The lack of the kickstand feet on the Q5 Pro means it could impact your comfort experience, though it didn't mind. The Q5 Pro also has a volume knob where the K4 V2 does not. That means after some customizing, play, pause, volume, it's all on one easy to find dial, where on the K4 you need to remember which hotkeys you have mapped. Which brings me to the QMK via software compatibility, meaning you can program keys and macros with software, which is sometimes easier than doing it on the board itself. That means it's infinitely more programmable should you want that. Now both are further upgradable with hot swap switches and new keycaps, but because of the overall stronger internals of the Q5 Pro, that means the ceiling for a better sound and typing experience is just way higher. Now obviously the K4 V2 is half the price, so there's no comparison. That's an easy win for the K4. Speaking of upgrades, let's talk a little bit more about that. My K4 V2 review still stands. It's a really old video, so go easy on me. But I talk all about how I upgraded that board in that video. You can check it out in the corner in one of these corners. Now, because this board is hot swappable, I can bring my own switches, my own keycaps, and I can change the look and feel, and that is exactly what I did. Worth noting, if I had purchased that bare bones kit, I wouldn't have to remove all of these keycaps and all of these switches, but I wanted to review the board as a whole first, so that's what I did. You've probably been seeing like a mix of footage so far, which is the out-of-the-box version, and then the custom version I made using the Osume Year of the Tiger caps that I've had for a while. I've been waiting so long to finally put them on a keyboard. Now the switches I swapped to are the Everglide EG Aqua King linear switches, and those came pre-lubed as well, so there was no extra work on my part there, and I really love the way they sound and feel. You could probably hear the difference in the typing test, but I prefer the overall appearance and the feel so much more than the old version. Now, if you're looking to buy a mechanical keyboard right now and you've been debating between the K and Q series, I hope this video was helpful for you. Now, for those of you who currently own a mechanical keyboard or a K series keyboard and you're just wondering if the upgrade is worth it to you, I'm here to tell you, in my opinion, the quality jump is massive and I think it is worth it. In the end, this is a one and done deal. Keychron has done pretty much all of the work for you. They've put in the foam, they've chosen great plates, they've lubed the stabilizers, and they've used premium materials all around. And if you want a little more customization, all you have to do is pick the switches you want and the keycaps you want, and then you have a high quality, high-end, wireless mechanical keyboard with premium materials, all for a fraction of the price of a full ground up custom. If you found the video helpful, like and subscribe. It helps the channel so much. And leave a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.